Welcome to the DIY Writer Show with the mild-mannered, slightly heroic host, Jeff Bacon.
Today I have an author who's done a dozen or so short stories, has a couple of novels out. Her latest one is Leroux Manor. This is Jeff Bacon with the DIY Writer Podcast. Sorry for screwing that up. Anyway, today I have the lovely Liz Butcher with me. Liz, how you doing today?
Good, Jeff. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. So Leroux Manor, that came out in September 1st of this year.
Yeah, it did. Yep.
All right,
Very
cool.
exciting.
Well, you better plug the book. Let's go. Let's hear all about it.
Yeah, so it's my first young adult horror. So it's about a teenage girl living here in Australia who's forced to move over to the UK in her final year of high school when her father inherits the family estate from his estranged uncle.
Okay.
So she knows very little about her family beyond her parents. But the minute she arrives at the manor, she starts feeling like someone's watching her. There's some very elderly, creepy housekeeper and gardener that don't quite seem right. All these strange things start happening to her. And she discovers in the attic a book of old albums from the family. And she discovers that her ancestor that built the manor, on the day it was launched to the county, was found murdered, and his 5-year-old daughter vanished and was never seen again. So she feels a strong pull to this 5-year-old and wants to kind of work out what happened to her and why, and sort of goes from there. So the more she starts to sort of uncover, the more things unfold in the manor around her, and the more she starts experiencing things. So it gets quite dark and creepy. It's not your normal sort of haunted horror mansion type story. It's full of twists and turns, but
cool.
Yeah.
So with that psychology background that you have, I'm sure that you kind of do a couple of mind screws there within the book.
They're my favorite kind.
Cool. Tweak somebody's imagination ever so slightly.
Yes, yeah, definitely lots of little I like to play with that boundary between what's real and what's not. And a lot of this book is her questioning her own ability to determine what's real and what's not. And I find that a really cool part of horror. If you're questioning, if you don't know if you can believe what you see, but you can't explain it either. So yeah, lots of that sort of corner of the eye stuff.
So you write a scene and it ends with them waking up and it's like, oh crap, it's a dream. But is it? Was it?
Yeah, like was it?
Yeah.
Like you think it's a dream, but then there's evidence to suggest maybe it's not a dream. Yeah. So all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Scratch marks on the arm or some weird thing. It's like, oh my God, it might have happened. Okay.
Yeah.
No, totally get that. So you're down there in Australia. How's things in Australia?
Yeah, not too bad. Looking up actually, which is good. Opening up some borders and things in time for Christmas, which everyone's really excited about. So yeah, it's hopefully, knock on wood, going to be a happier ending towards the end of the year than it has been for the most part. But never say never, though. I think that's one thing 2020's taught us, like just don't count your chickens before they hatch because something else is going to happen. So just be cool.
Yeah. You know, whoever's writing the ending to 2020, I'm sure they're gonna mind screw with us too.
Yeah, it's gonna be like plot twist right at the end.
You know, it's funny because there's so many books and movies that were based in 2020 so many years ago, and you look at, you know, like Mad Max.
Yeah.
And was that 2020 or 2021, whatever it was. And then the other day I saw Reign of Fire. Have you ever seen that movie?
I haven't, no.
It's where a dragon escapes and he has a whole bunch of she has a whole bunch of babies, and they basically take over the world, and humans are a soon to be extinct species. And they're trying to fight the dragons. They have to find this original dragon to kill her so that the rest of the dragons, you know, because she's the only one that can make more dragons.
Yeah.
And so they have to, you know, it's really it's really a good movie. It's got Matthew McConaughey and
I love him.
Some other guy. Yeah. Some other guy, he played
Some other
Batman for a
guy.
while. Yeah, another guy, American Psycho. God, I can't remember his
Oh,
name.
I love him. Christian Bale.
Christian Bale, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. They did a really nice job with it. But and then I didn't realize it was set in 2020. It's like, oh look, December right around the corner. Perfect.
Yeah. And let's face it, if dragons came out, would anyone really be surprised at this point? Like, I think that the ability to be surprised in 2020 is gone. Everyone just be like, okay, there's dragons. Yeah, that's fine.
Again,
Whatever.
it's just poor scripting. You can't really twist this and surprise anybody anymore.
No, that's it.
There is no more plot twist. It's just, okay.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, which way should I bend over today? Type thing.
Yeah, exactly. Is it time to can we just walk out of the theater yet, or do we have to sit here till the end?
Wouldn't that be nice? Oh,
yeah.
Good. my favorite meme is the I don't pass it around because it's overdone so much, but aliens sitting there watching TV. Oh my God, we're watching Earth 2020. This season is really screwed,
All right. But can you imagine if someone or some entity or something was watching us? Like, it'd just be like, these people are whack.
I would guess
really?
they give 2019 2 stars because it was boring, but 20 is getting a 5-star review from somebody.
There'll be someone out there just wanting to just see shit unfold and just be like, this is crazy. Like, what else could they possibly do? Let's just see, and just totally loving every second of it.
What I thought would be funny is to have a little skip, kind of like somebody got marooned on an island in 2019 and they come back in December of 2020 and go, what the fuck? What happened?
I was gone 5 minutes.
I get stuck in an island and you guys can't handle it for less than a year. Come on.
Exactly.
Whatever.
Yeah. Or even like people up on the space station and stuff. I mean, obviously they'd be up to date with what's going on, but it'd still be very different if they came back right now and, restrictions and border closures and masks and elections, and like, let's just stay up in space, because at least up there, like, we know what's going on up there.
So if they did come back from the space station, would we have to quarantine them for 14 days?
Good question. I'll leave that one to you.
I don't know what that corona when they went up there and it morphed in space and now we have zombies.
Well, and again, like, would we be surprised?
Probably
no,
not. Oh shit, it's Wednesday. Okay, zombies.
Yeah, there we go.
Friday's going to be the dragon. Okay, yeah. All right, yeah. All right. Whatever. But yeah, what a heck of a year. Internationally, it's just been funny as I talk to other authors, the things that they're going through, Of course, the New Zealanders are all like, oh, it's been just perfect over here. We only had 75.
Yeah.
Shut up. Okay, I'm in the US. We had 75 in the last 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you guys are doing it pretty tough.
Yeah,
very tough.
but we don't really adhere to any rules. We don't. I mean, they can't really lock us down. They can't really, and so you've got a subset of the culture that doesn't take it seriously at all. And then you've got another subset that, is going well beyond what what they take the safety measures and they are barricaded in their house. Yeah. Everyone in between. So, I mean, it's something like this is going to spread, but Americans do so love their freedom. So they, they kind of, government says stay in your house. Oh yeah, I will,
Yeah.
Yeah. Right on that, dude.
Sure, whatever.
Shit. Yeah. We'll listen to you because you're the government. And we trust you inherently,
in 2020. Yeah, no.
The sad thing is that a lot of the older folks that have immune systems that aren't so good, or respiratory problems, heart problems, whatever, the way this virus works, it just kind of it affects them more. So they're the ones that are actually paying the price for everybody else's. And it's not just them, but I mean, for the most part, it's somebody who has something compromised within their body, and they're the ones that pay the price for everybody else running around without masks and never washing their hands and all that kind of stuff. That was an epiphany for 2020. You had to wash your hands. It's like,
right? Like, it seems like a no-brainer, but then yet.
Yeah, there's always that wash your hands. It's like, well, I've been doing that for, pretty much my entire life. I mean, you've got a toddler. I mean,
exactly.
I mean, wash your hands after supper, wash your hands before supper, or dinner or whatever. You went to the
Yeah.
bathroom. Okay, wash your hands. We have this big thing where it's, can't get those nasty germs off.
Yeah, I don't know. It just that seemed like a really weird thing that everyone was kind of freaking out about, like wash your hands, and it's just yeah, so many people are like, but we do, but maybe it's just not enough. Who knows? But
I don't know. Wear a mask. Okay, well, sure. That doesn't bother me too much. Sometimes it
mm,
does, but for the most part, it's pretty easy.
yeah,
Especially in winter because it keeps you nice and warm.
well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So you have a toddler though, you were telling me about, and
I do.
she slept through the night last night. So you got nice restful sleep and everything.
Pretty sure that wasn't how the conversation went, or was it? I'm so tired, I can't even tell.
You can't
But no,
tell. Okay.
I can't tell. No, she's gone through a bit of a rough patch, not sleeping too well. So, and my problem is like once she'll go back to sleep, then once I'm awake, I guess with most adults, your brain starts going like 1,000 miles a minute and won't let you go back to sleep. So, parenthood, and then you've got to function like a normal like person the next day when you just want to go to bed. So
Exactly.
it's great fun.
That's adulting and it sucks.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. She can't wait to grow up. And I'm like, oh, you'll regret saying that.
I think it's really funny when they stay up all night. It's 2:00 in the morning and they're ready to get up and party. Hey, let's go read a book. Hey, I need another drink of water. I need this, I got to go to the bathroom. I get, blah,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. And they just don't want to go to sleep. And then at 6:00, they go to sleep. And then, you're sitting there and you're tired because you've been up since 2. Get up, make the coffee, do this, do that. And then you go to wake them up so they'll actually go to bed tonight. And they're like, no, I don't want to get up. It's like, okay, you little shit. You're getting up.
Yeah, well, she came in about 4:45 because she was all excited because it's swimming lesson in the morning. So she's like, it's swimming day. We're like, yeah, fantastic. And so she's gotten to bed. And so she and my husband fall back asleep. And I'm just laying there like, yeah, I'm just going to get up.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to pretend I'm going to go back to sleep. So I just get up and get some stuff. And they're both like, out cold again. I'm like, nice to be some people.
See, I imagine my wife when that happens, looking over at me like, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, exactly. How do you do that?
How do you just go to sleep?
Exactly.
I've got 16,000 things to do.
Mm-hmm.
So do I, but they can wait till 8:00 or whatever.
Maybe it's a guy thing. I don't know. Maybe it's just men can just go out and we can't. I don't know. Maybe we should look into that.
I don't know. I've it's 4:00 in the morning. All of a sudden I hear stuff happening in the kitchen, and you're kind of asleep and you wake up and you go like, okay, look over to make sure that the wife's not in the bed so that, if she is and you hear that stuff, then it's okay.
We've got
Let's
an
get up
intruder.
and
Yeah,
we better check that one out. But, look over, she's up, they're not in bed. Okay. Yep. I know what this is. But.
And then you go back to sleep.
You go back to sleep. Absolutely. Why wouldn't you?
It would be nice. I wish I had that skill, but unfortunately I don't.
Once
I'm awake, that's it.
My problem is I stay up till midnight, 1:00 writing and doing all this other stuff or whatever needs to be done. So then by the time I hit the bed, it's just like, but,
oh well.
Yeah, so that 5 hours of sleep I get really helps me. So
5 hours. Wow, you're lucky.
I am. I'm actually bragging to you.
You are.
Yeah. So your first novel was Fates of Fury.
Mm-hmm.
You released that in 2019. What's that all about?
So that's basically about the end of the world, essentially, like a modern day apocalypse, where the fates have decided that they've had a gutful of mankind, that we've just stuffed everything up royally and they just want to get rid of us for good. So they come back, they're hunting for what's called the Tablet of Destinies, which has been hidden. They're killing off as many people as they can in the interim, but they can't fully get rid of us until they find this tablet. In the meantime, we've got this guy called Jonah and his 2 best friends who find themselves in the midst of all this strange things happening. Like they see these redhead women killing people, but nothing happens to them. They're seeing strange, I don't want to give things away, but lots of strange things happening. And then in the middle of a thunderstorm, their car breaks down and this guy just walks towards them and introduces himself as Zeus. So he tells them, even though they don't believe him, they think he's just this crazy person, that there's an ancient alliance of gods from multiple pantheons that are prepared to come back and help them fight against the fates. So basically we have man and God on one side and the fates on the other, trying to fight for the right to be here. And as the question, do we deserve to be here if we were given another chance, and what's worth fighting for and what's worth trying to save? So it's not so much horror elements, but a lot of action, thriller, sort of dark fantasy in there with the mixture. So yeah, I was very proud to finish that one. Took a long time.
Oh yeah, how long did it take?
I started it in 2012.
Okay.
Writing intermittently with things going on in life, and so yeah, by the time I actually finished it and published it in 2019, it was just quite a big journey for myself to do. But yeah, no, I was very proud of it. It's a long story as well. It's like 120,000 words or something, so it wasn't a short novel. But yeah, a bit of a journey for myself.
Well, was it easier to do the second one?
Oh, that was much quicker. That was a matter of months just to get that one done. But yeah, and I've got another one done as well. So I think it was just more, when I first started with Fate's Fury, I wasn't sure whether I could actually write. And that's when I was doing a lot of the short stories as well. And that was sort of building up my confidence. And when I was getting good feedback from them, I'm like, okay, well, maybe this might be worth pursuing. Followed by like an epic writer's block about halfway through, where I didn't touch it for about 6 months, probably even longer. But yeah, it was probably just a massive learning curve more than anything else. So once that was actually published, I was like, okay, that's cool. I can write an actual book and type the end and not, have it sitting there undone for 10 years. So once I had accomplished that, I'm like, okay, well, let's do another one, and then let's do another one. And now I can't stop.
I think it's, the one you talk about, the confidence and how lacking it is with your first book. And it takes an awful lot of courage to publish that first book. I mean, it is throwing everything on the pages that you have in your essence, and then putting it out in the world and waiting for somebody to smack you with it.
Exactly. Yeah. Right across the back of the head.
Yeah.
And even having an editor look at it was daunting initially. And I learned so much about my own writing and grew a lot as a writer by having that edited as well. So how I was writing when I first started writing it compared to when I finished was a huge difference.
Sure.
So I kind of even had to go back to the very start, because it had been so long in the process. My style had changed, so I kind of had to go back to the start and kind of come back through again. So, but yeah, getting that opinion is I don't mind criticism. I prefer someone be honest and say, this needs to be rewritten because this section is shit, as opposed to going, oh, your work is amazing, and full well it's not. What I mean? I'd rather have something to work with and improve on than just be fluffed around.
Well, and that's the thing, is when you send something to an editor, and if they come back with a few corrections here or there and say, oh my God, this is awesome. Are you really an editor?
Yeah.
I
need to see more red and flags and
yeah, there has to be at least 3 arguments of, cut this out because it makes no sense. And it's like, no, it's integral to the story. And
yeah,
okay, rewrite it, and here's your plot hole. I mean, there's got to be some sort of, otherwise, yeah, okay.
Exactly. And I think that if you got that kind of editor back with very rarely, barely any corrections, and told how fantastic you were, and you took that on board, then you probably shouldn't be writing, because I think that, no one's going to have a brilliant first draft.
No.
That's the whole reason it's called a draft, like, because you've got to build on it to make it better before it's publishable. So if you're going to accept that as a the result from your first draft, then maybe just move on to something else, because criticism is a huge part of it. And I don't mean, you've got to be trolled or anything, but constructive criticism is a huge part of what makes us writers and what makes the next book better and the next book better. And because you've got to constantly grow and learn. And if you don't have a supportive editor or people in your life that can be constructively able to criticize you, then that's not going to happen. So you're kind of just wasting your time, I think. Might sound a bit harsh, but that's how I feel.
I've got a proofreader, and that's the very first person that I send my book to.
Yeah.
And the reason I do that is so that my editor has less to do and can concentrate more on the story than worrying, oh my God, he misspelled witch. That's the wrong type of witch, or whatever. There, and there,
Yeah.
all those differences, so I send it to she's a beta reader and she's a proofreader, and she gives me a spreadsheet and grades the whole thing. And it's like,
Oh, wow.
yeah. And she's just brutal.
I love that though. That's awesome.
It's really sweet. It's really nice. And it's just like, okay. And then you send it to the editor, and then, they kind of, move it and hack it and, do it. Maybe you should, consider actually putting a plot in the book. I don't know, something.
I hadn't thought of that, but thanks.
Gee, I thought there was one. Not that I can recognize. No, thank you. Please rewrite, that type of stuff. And, that saves you a lot of trouble once you do get to publish. And then, your confidence builds because you have something that's halfway decent out there. Not great, halfway decent.
That's it. Because the last thing you want is reviews coming in saying, oh, the spelling was terrible, didn't make sense, or like all that stuff that's fixable prior to even putting it out. Right. Just save yourself the pain. Like, just don't do that. Get it as good as you can before you put it out.
Yeah, there's some people that I don't think they ever go through an editor or anything like that. I mean, you can tell when the book's been edited and when it hasn't been. And the problem is, if you don't have a bunch of people reading it, whether it be proofers or beta readers or, editors, and then to get a final proof. And I think they all have to be different people, if you don't get all those opinions in there, you're trying to cater to a large audience of readers. You might be screwing yourself over. And then if you have a really bad first book,
it's hard to come back from.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, how would you ever have the confidence to actually write book 2?
Yeah.
Or 6?
And it's always going to be errors. Like even with Leroux Manor, it had been edited and gone over again, and I had it sent it off to some people to read before I actually published it, and still picked up things. Oh, this bit on this page here, is that supposed to be that? And so, you go over it as finely as you can, but that was probably, I can't even say, maybe a dozen people went through it before I actually published it. So, you do what some people don't like that, just they get excited and want to put it out there. But, I think it's worth putting that extra time in, getting people to have a look at it and just making sure, because, I mean, what's that saying? You can't see the forest for the trees. Like, you can go over the same thing over and over again and still not see it until someone else points it out to you.
I was reading a Patterson book the other, about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I just picked it up because I've read this book like 3 times, but it's like, okay, I couldn't quite remember how he did something that I thought was cool. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And like I said, I read it 3 times. I'm looking at it, it's like, oh, there's a spelling error in this. And I was like, I mean, so pumped, because you know what?
Even Patterson,
even Patterson has issues with certain, I'm sure he has another revision out there or whatever, but it's like nothing's perfect ever. So I'm just, like I said, it was not like, I caught you. It's more like, oh, thank God.
He's human.
He's human. All
Yeah.
right. I love this. Okay. You know, let me do it for the camera.
That's
Out
it.
there.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. There you are.
I was actually so really surprised because I did his masterclass last year, I think it was, to learn that he does everything by hand, which I thought was really cool because I initially did everything by hand as well, and everyone told me I was mental and to stop that. So then when I saw his masterclass, I'm like, but James Patterson still does everything by hand. But then, mind you, he's got someone to type it all up for him. So
Right.
whereas I don't.
he has certain advantages over the rest of us that
Yeah, that's it.
although, you know, I mean, I have a book where I write my ideas and I'll actually put like really raw outlines on, you know, and then retype it. And I find that writing it, then retyping it, you know, I catch a lot of stupid ideas, you know, when I do that versus just typing something out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like there's a deeper thought, and I think it gets stuck inside of you more if you write it first. I mean, so I get that. And I took that same class.
Oh, it was good. Did you like it? I liked
Loved it.
I loved, this is going to sound like weird, but I loved how often he dropped the F-bomb. And the first time he said it, I was kind of like, because he's James Patterson, you kind of expect him to be kind of, I don't know, a little bit stuffy maybe, but yeah. It's fantastic.
You know, I liked his books before, but after I took that master class, it's like, holy shit, dude, you're like real. Okay.
Yeah, you're like awesome real.
Yeah, I didn't even pay attention to listen to him, you know, any speeches or talking or anything, whatever. But you know, I'd seen his ads. That's probably it. But I love how he starts that class out though. Hi, I'm Stephen King.
Yeah.
You know, and him and Stephen King had that thing going on where they kind of hate, you know, Stephen King kind of hates him, and he's like,
whatever.
I sell more books than you. Screw you, you know, type thing.
Yeah.
But what he said something in there like he sells a book every like 8 seconds or something in the world. I mean, it's bizarre.
I can't even wrap my head around that. Like, I mean, that's the dream, right? But I just can't. Like, yeah, it just doesn't seem realistic to the rest of us writers.
No, he's definitely the exception. But I mean, he's got how many books out? I mean,
well, that's true. Yeah,
I've lost track. But you know, it's like I said, I love that class, and I have to say that some of his attitude. When I took that class, it was at a time where I needed him, which was really, you know, I wasn't feeling real good about, you know, what I was writing, and it's, you know, this, that, and the other thing. And, you know, some of the things I was dealing with as an author. And I got hooked on his class right away, and I found I don't do things like he does, but I found some gold nuggets in there for me personally. Actually, I took his and I took Neil Gaiman's.
I did his as well, yeah.
And those two probably pulled me through quitting.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was just like, holy crap. Now, I'm sure it won't be a big feat for them, but it's just like, you know, at the time I had that master class or had those two classes. And like I said, I think I did Gaiman's first. It's like, okay, you know, how in the, you know, and very good class. And then I did Patterson's. And when I did Patterson's, something ignited, and it's just like, okay, now I can do this, you know. And I actually refer back to that. I probably 3 months ago, I just picked out the you know, the sessions that I really hit me and watch them again, and I used that to get over a block.
Yeah,
you know, but you know,
so
I don't know.
The James Patterson one, like I did James Patterson, Neil Gaiman, Margaret Atwood, and Dan Brown, and I felt with James Patterson seemed to hit you on a more personal level as a writer, rather than kind of just the how-tos and the technical side of genres. He was just much more personal, and I found a lot of his tips much more kind of real world for writers, which as I said, was totally unexpected. I kind of thought he'd be kind of stuffy and maybe a little bit boring. It was the complete opposite. And I think, I got so much from his classes, just how to function as a normal day-to-day writer. So yeah, anyone watching, do the class because it was it was amazing. He was just fantastic.
Dan Brown's I thought was meh. Yeah, it was all right, but I mean it wasn't. And I took that after I took the other two, and then I took Atwood's too, in that same masterclass series. Atwood's, the only reason I really liked it is because I really like Atwood, and
she's very quirky.
Yes.
Which I thought was kind of cool. So she was kind of interesting to listen to in that way because she's very quirky in how she describes a lot of things. So yeah, she was interesting as also, but Patterson just kind of left them all for dead in my opinion. As far
I've got a pad of notes from Patterson, and I've got a pad of notes from Gaiman.
Yeah.
And I've got a couple lines from Atwood. Dan Brown, I think I've got a notebook with his name written on top of it, and
yeah,
that's it. I think the titles of his books, and it's like, okay, well, yeah, I mean,
yeah,
and nothing against him. I mean, he can tell a story, and he's a good author. He's a good storyteller. But on the other hand, I should take that back. The one thing that enamored me was the amount of research that he does.
That's true.
Put that amount of detail in those books.
Which I'm kind of drawn to because I love research. So I did take that from his. But I guess not everybody that is a good writer can be a good teacher, I suppose. There's probably very few that can teach or explain for themselves well. And Patterson's got such a massive career. It's probably, a little easier for him to be able to do that. But I mean, then so does Atwood, I guess. But yeah, she was just really quirky in a cool way. But yeah. Right. No, definitely take something from him anyway.
Yeah, you can take something from any time you talk to. I mean, even like first time authors. I talked to a few first time authors that you're sitting there and it's like, oh, I remember that. Oh yeah, I made that same mistake. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. I'm about to make that same mistake again. Okay.
I've learned nothing.
I'm an idiot. Yeah. It's kind of the way you feel going through the whole thing. But,
and then the next one and the next one, but
yeah, and then you do the same exact mistake over and over again. It's like, I will never do that again, and then you do it again.
Yeah.
But so you have a psychology degree.
I do.
Do you practice or do you?
No, I'm writing now.
You're writing now. Okay.
I'm writing now.
Cool.
But no, I mean, a lot of people do ask me if it comes in handy with writing. And obviously when I went out and did the degree, it wasn't on my mind that this is going to help me be a writer one day. It's a very tedious degree to do if you just want to be a writer at the end of it. But
that's a heck of a price to pay. You're right.
Exactly. But I've always loved the human mind. I'm just fascinated by people and behavior. And so I guess I do utilize that when I write because it really does help to get into the character's mindset. And especially I think when you're writing horror and dark fantasy, a lot of the tension and suspense comes from how the characters interpret and or react to certain scenes or stimuli that's happening to them. So I think if you've got a good understanding of what creates fear and how fear looks or feels, and you can implement that into a character, it's going to be a much better experience for the reader than if you can't get into the head of the character in those scenes. So maybe I'm just a nerd, but I really like getting to the heads of my characters just to really kind of draw out how I think they would react and why. I've maybe spend too much time doing that, but I just really like it.
Well, let's make one thing clear. You are a nerd.
Yeah, well aware.
Absolutely, you're a nerd. All right.
Yeah.
Now we cleared that up. I think we all are in some respect or another. Some authors I talk to, they're very, very cool and loose and everything else, but when you start talking about their process, they're very neat, and this is what I do, and it's like, okay, that's nerdy. Yeah. or they build their spreadsheets for their sales research, or they do this or they do that, or the email mechanics they do with their newsletters. It's just like, holy crud. Okay, that's it ends up being really complex, and it's like,
Yeah.
we're I'm a part of an anthology that's coming out in December. And we all got on a Zoom call the other night, and we're just going to try and figure out some simple things that we can do just to promote this, because it's going to be a free book, and it's kind of a Christmas gift to, some members of this group that we belong to. And, it's got like 3,500 members or something like that.
Oh, wow.
And it's Indie Fantasy Addicts is what it is. It's a great fantasy group. But as I think it took about 15 minutes for all of us to overcomplicate and make our marketing plan for what seemed like we're going to be releasing a bestseller. And how much money should we put in? How much do we want to do that? What's our okay, we got book funnel, we got newsletters, we got podcasts, it's like, holy crap. Okay, 22 of us in this group, and we're all busy, but it was just like, okay, we need to step back. It's a free book, guys.
Getting a little out of control.
Yeah, it did. But on the other hand, watching authors come up with, and also finding out what everybody else does, what their sequences and everything is always really interesting. And all the authors on this anthology are like top notch. I mean, they're just like, wow, you're writing a short story for this? Okay, but. It's an amazing group to be together with, or to be with. But on the other hand, it's everybody's got their own thing they want to throw in, and it's like, oh boy, we can't do it all. But
you got to draw a line somewhere. And
well, we're not good at drawing lines either. We just kind of decide we're going to do it all. But
good luck with that.
Well, yeah, it's going to work out well. It'll work out great, because we all have newsletters, and we all have followings on social media and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, so how big are you into social media? Do you try and a post a day, a post a week, a post a month?
Depends. My website, I try and post a couple of times a month. I've got a blog on there for authors as well. But Facebook, my personal Facebook, I'm on there all the time. But my author one, maybe once or twice a week. On Instagram, quite a fair bit, and Twitter, depending on what's going on. But I'm trying to cut back on social media and focus more on the writing, less on the social media. Obviously, when I'm trying to promote something, it's a different story, but just as a general rule, trying to spend a little less time on social media, because it's just a rabbit hole, especially with things like Instagram. Like once you start looking at stuff, like next minute an hour's going, like, oh shit, I could have written 1,000 words in that time.
Easy.
Easy.
No, I feel you. The bottomless pit, and okay, you're on Facebook, you're on Instagram, you have LinkedIn, you got Twitter, you got all these different things that you're trying to do. Then you try and automate your posts, and not post the same thing in the same medium in the same day, and blah 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 blah, and all of a sudden you're doing way more on social media, and you still haven't written a damn word for the day. And it's like, oh, wait a minute, I'm an author. Shit, not a marketer.
I should be writing. Yeah.
I should maybe write my next book, so that, it's been the same way with this podcast. It's been, do this, do that, figure out how to engineer, figure out how to do that, because I'm a one-man show. But on the other hand, it's been like, okay, stop, idiot. You need to write in the mornings and then work.
Yeah.
And I right now I'm to the point where I don't care. It's got to be 500 words before I stop. If I have a big day, it's like, okay, let's whip out 500 words real quick. And, but if I don't write once a day, I feel like a complete failure. And then the rest of my day goes to shit. Yeah.
I've heard so many writers say, I'm exactly the same. Like if I don't get my writing time, I'm just cranky. Like it's like what some people are without their coffee. Like I need my writing time. And so many other writers have said that. And I find that really interesting. It's kind of, I don't know, are we addicts? Like what is it that we need? Like if we don't get that fix of that writing time, then we just lose our shit for the day. Like it's just, it's weird.
Here's the thing I would say. The perfect day would be writing and coffee. If I don't have them
Obviously,
both,
obviously.
yeah, if I don't have them both, then it's going to be a shit day.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, it's just, yeah, it's a weird thing. But I guess that just goes to show you doing what you're meant to do, that if when you don't get to do it, you're cranky. So
It's a really nice way of looking at it. Yeah, it's what you're meant to do. Be psychotic and
exactly. And neurotic and
obsessive compulsive
pedantic.
and neurotic and
Yeah.
a little psychotic when it's like, somebody
Mhm.
walks into the room and you bite their head off because you haven't gotten it right yet.
Yeah.
What's kind of funny is I got hooked on in the afternoon. I drink white tea.
White tea, like as in like milky tea. Is
No,
that what you
it's
mean?
just it's actually looks like tea, but it's a white tea. It's got different herbs and stuff in it or
Okay.
whatever. But
I've heard of it.
yeah, it actually it's got caffeine in it. I think I don't know, but
You're like, I thought it had caffeine in it.
it must because it makes me feel so good. But I just noticed that I drink about a pot and a half of coffee in the morning. And then by the time afternoon runs around, it's like, I'm kind of sick of coffee. Okay, well, but I need something else. So the white tea seems to be, actually I got black tea too, but tea seems to be my thing all of a sudden.
The afternoon go-to.
Somewhat that and an energy drink.
Yeah. Or the energy
or
drinks.
3 or 4. Little shot.
I wonder why we can't sleep.
I the other night, I went to bed at 1:00, and I laid in bed and I could not stop my mind. I mean, I just was going and going and going. It's like I should get up and write some more. It's just like I need to get this. And as I was getting out of bed, my wife's going, "What the hell are you doing? You have to be up at 5:30 or 6 or whatever." I know I just need to get this off my mind. And I'm sitting there. It's like, why I mean, usually I hit the pillow and
you're out.
Yeah, I have to be. It's just very regimented. I hit the pillow and go to sleep. This is one of those nights where I just couldn't go to sleep, and then I figured it out. At 11:30, I drank an energy drink. I wasn't even thinking about it, but I saw the can sitting in the garbage, and I'm like, oh,
well, there you go. Yeah,
that makes sense. Okay, dummy. What were you thinking? So I try and control myself, but every now and then it's just, you start, I don't know how you are. I kind of get entranced. I just like this. Okay. And I'll sit there and I'll stare at the screen. I'll reach over to my refrigerator and just grab something. Okay. Yeah. And just keep on writing. And I'm just like, okay.
See, that's the mistake. You got a fridge near your desk. I'd be in trouble if that was the case. So don't do it. I'd be like, next minute, a whole cake's gone or something ridiculous like that. Because I'm in this writing trance and just ate all the food from the fridge. So,
yeah. I've got this little fridge. It's got energy drinks in it. It's got a little bit of soda in there. And the only thing the soda is used for is to take the edge off the whiskey. And then it's got tequila, rum, an old-fashioned mix in it. It's got a couple of different bourbons, some whiskey,
nice.
Yeah, and beer, ales. The only thing I'm missing is I'm out of mead, because every now and then when you're writing about Vikings, you have to drink.
You've got to have mead. Yeah,
got to have mead. Nice.
I'd be in so much trouble if I had that fridge at my desk. I would be tanked all the time.
That happens, and sometimes that's my best writing. But
or is it like you think you're writing amazing because you're so hammered, but then when you're sober up the next day, you're like, what is even that? I don't even know what any of that says.
Actually, I look at it and it's like, okay, the actual writing, the grammar of it is complete shit. Okay, that has to be written. But the idea is so stupid that it's going to work. That's happened to me plenty of times where, all of a sudden after a couple of beers, it's like, okay, I'm flying.
Yeah.
And then you wake up next morning, it's like, I just wrote a bunch of shit, but that idea is really good.
But I can still use it. So it wasn't a waste of time. Yeah.
The other thing that's happened to me too is you write like that and you come up with this really great idea and it doesn't even fit into your book. So then you have to rewrite it because you really want that scene in there.
Yes, I've done that too. Yeah. It's frustrating, but you get so fixated that you can't let it go. And it's just
Exactly.
like, no, it's got to go in there, because then once you've got that, you can't see how it could possibly go on without it. So you just sacrifice months of work just to squeeze this tiny little gem in, because you're convinced it's going to be so much better for it.
I've got a book right now where I have a main character and a very strong second character. And I was writing the other night, and I woke up the next day and went through the morning process with the kids and everything. They went out to daycare. And um, I sat down to read what I wrote just because I wasn't really thinking about it or whatever.
Mm.
And I killed my strong secondary character.
Oh, brutal.
And it's like, okay. And it just, it just happened.
Mm.
It's like, okay, and so I went back a couple chapters and read, and I spent the morning trying to figure out why I killed them, because I was kind of tired.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, that's completely cool. But what I just did was I screwed up my entire outline, because, in my outline, of course, he's still there at the end.
Yeah. So then you got to go back and fix up the outline. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And that's another time waster for me. I've done that because I'm very pedantic with my outline. I handwrite it all, and I've got little squares, so I know like where everything is going to happen. And then it's just in my head, like if something changes, because it inevitably always does change. But then I'm like, well, I can't look at this outline like this now, because now I know that it's wrong. So I've got to fix it up before I can possibly write anymore. It's just this little weird thing that I have to do. Even if it's pages of outline, I've got to go through it all and just sort it all out.
I try and be like that. I mean, I start my idea, I
It's not a
outline
good
it.
thing.
I write my little paragraphs for each chapter that kind of, runs through this beautiful story. And then I screw it up around chapter 9,
Yeah.
or whatever. And then it's like, okay, rewrite the outline. Okay, yeah, this is a better story. And let's say chapter 13, I screw it up again. And by the time I get done with my book, that outline is sitting in a pile someplace I haven't looked at in a month.
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know why, but I feel like I need to outline it. And then I completely just hose it up. And then at some point in time, I get frustrated and I just throw the outline out. It's like, I'm just going to pants this.
See, I can't pants. I think that's what I learned with Fate's Fury, because I had such huge moments of writer's block where I just didn't touch it for so long. So ever since that, I think that's why I'm so pedantic about outlining, even though I know the first outline I start with is not going to be the outline that ends up being the final book. But I think now it's that fear in my head that if I don't outline, then I'm going to have epic writer's block. And even in that James Patterson masterclass, remember him saying something about there's no such thing as writer's block. You just haven't planned things out enough.
Yeah.
Or we haven't done enough research. And so that kind of validated my pedantic OCD outlining. I'm like, I'm doing it to protect myself so I don't get writer's block. And it does work for me, but I do then waste time fixing it up every time there's a big plot twist that I didn't see coming. So
right.
Yeah.
I don't think, I don't know if the readers realize that, but sometimes those plot twists come out, just out of the blue. It's like,
yeah,
this would be really cool if this happened. And then you screw up your entire book and it's like, oh no.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
And then you have to
I'd probably
rewrite.
say quite a lot of plot twists happen on the cuff. Once you're in the zone, and then it's just before you know it, you're writing this plot twist that you hadn't thought of, but you love it, but it screws up your outline, and round and round and round we go. Like, I don't think readers appreciate how neurotic we are as writers and how much chewing and froing there is in. It's not just sitting at your desk and writing endlessly. It's just all the other stuff as well that goes with it.
I had somebody, they're writing their first novel, and I wasn't even a beta reader. I was an alpha reader. She was feeding me like 3 chapters at a time.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, yeah, this is good. This is good. I'm gonna wait till the end to give you an opinion, but okay, And I had to stop her because I said, okay, you killed this character 3 chapters ago, and all of a sudden he's in here having dialogue, and she's like, oh my god. It's like, either make him a ghost or get rid of him. And she go, no, because she was following her outline. She forgot to change her outline.
See, now you've just validated my way that I've got to keep rewriting my
Yeah.
outline every time I change something, because like I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, no, it's a challenge. It really
Mm.
is. So let's see. We've gone through your books, and you've got some really cool website, or you got a cool website and some other things going on here. What you got coming out next?
So my next book is called Never Never, and it's sort of a modern retelling of Peter Pan, but it's set in the here and now, and Wendy Darling is grown up. She's a detective, haunted by her teen abduction from this strange creature that she recalls as Pan, and a local girl goes missing, very similar to how she recalled being abducted, and she works the case, but it all ends up being a big trap. So I don't want to give too much away, but it's essentially, just a dark and twisted version of Peter Pan for adults.
Oh.
So that's hopefully coming out maybe March next year, I think.
You're going to ruin some childhood memories
Absolutely.
with that.
Good.
Yeah. Somebody's going to be reading Peter Pan to their kid and go, oh, I read that other book. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I can't do it. No.
Oh, no. It's not the merry little kids in Never Never Land. It's, the horror.
That's it. Yeah. So if you want to read Peter Pan to your kids, do it now.
Do it now, because otherwise Liz is going to break you of Peter Pan forever, which is
pretty
a cool
much.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so anyway.
All right. Well, is there anything else you'd want to tell your readers about what's coming up, what's happening, what's going on?
Not so much. It's really just that one. I'm working on a serial about a paranormal investigator that's a hot mess, which I'm hoping to start coming out next year as well. But other than that, just plodding away.
Oh, you got a serial coming out.
Well, hopefully that's the plan. I've got to finish writing it all first.
You have your outline done?
Yes, well, for the first book anyway.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
So do you do a series outline then?
So I've sort of because I've never done a series before, so I'm kind of winging that part of it. But I do kind of have like an overlying theme for like the whole series, and then like sort of each book will be its own story, but with the whole thing going at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I've got a little notebook that I've put together with all the characters and pictures and places and all that cool nerdy stuff. So I probably spent more time doing that than was needed, but it's all there for all to keep going back to, I guess, for each installment. So yeah, it's like the handbook essentially.
I think everybody kind of does that. It's kind of necessary, especially when you're writing a series, because then you get lost real quick, or screw up because you miss a step or something.
Exactly.
Or, you miss the fact that you accidentally killed somebody off in your last book, and all of a sudden they're back. Yeah,
or you just completely forgot about something that you wanted to include, and then when you go back through it and have a look, you're like, oh, that's right, I wanted to do that. So
exactly. Well, cool beans, Liz. It's been great getting to know you on this.
You too.
I really hope you have lots of success. Love your cover of your book, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
The Leroux Manor is just really cool.
My husband did it for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he does all my covers.
Well, that's not even fair. So you don't. So that's how he gets away with sleeping in.
Well, yeah, that's it. I can't really complain, can I?
No, not really. That's a heck of a that's a heck of a that's a benefit. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very cool. Oh. Well. No, I'm extremely jealous, but that's okay. I can be jealous. Thank you very much again. This is Jeff with the DIY Writer Podcast. Again, this is Liz Butcher. You can find her at lizbutcher.com.au because she's in down under. And you can find her on Amazon. And all the links will be posted in the show below. Please, if you would, follow me or subscribe to my YouTube channel or whatever you need to do. But please keep up because I've got plenty of more shows coming out. Thank you much and goodbye.
Thanks. Bye.
Please follow DIY Writer to get instant notifications of new shows. www.diyWriter.com